Hello everybody and welcome to Sable's WorldForge. Sorry for the delay. I had to wait for my neighbor to stop using his pressure washer out there because it was right outside the window. Always fun. Lurking while Ethnos finishes up. Too much spice. I really wanted to see the end of that, but I had to get ready for this. Are they like dying yet? I sympathize. We're going to be doing something similar. Aaron bought himself that same chocolate that Zog and WD Michael were using, and I'm going to have a little bit of it. I can't have it all because, like, the second ingredient is milk, right? And I cannot do the lactose thing, right? But I have spicy dark chocolate on the way. I don't know if it's as spicy, probably not, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat that. And then I'm going to take like a little tiny corner of Aaron's chocolate and a bunch of lactose pills. So that's the plan there. All right. Oh my God, says Dazzlecat. Any shenanigans? No, I'm like way behind things, Tillers, and I just sat down because my neighbor was pressure washing right outside my window, which was fun. Is the music too loud, by the way, or is it okay? It sounds pretty loud on my end, but I don't know. And good to see you, Tillers. Welcome. I'm checking to see what else this is up to. Oh, the bastards! Okay, sorry. They're done. You hear nothing, says Tillers. Uh-oh. So there's like no music. Or am I, like, not audible? That's not good. You hear music and me. Okay. No background stuff, I mean? Oh, okay. Music is all there. Excellent. Good. Hey, Bob. How you doing? Welcome. Yeah. Alright, so I figured that today, what I would probably do, and Azel, welcome, welcome. Darth Nicholas is here. How goes? You know, better than yesterday. I had a really rough day yesterday. If I look tired, it's because I am, right? But today is a much better day. So, thanks for asking. How are you guys doing? Pretty good, says Dinosaur Bob. That's cool. So did Admiral and Baron melt? Because, like, I was watching, but then I was like, oh shit, I have like half an hour I have to get ready for my stream. So. Thanks, Walking Dead. Yeah. Hugs for all the events of yesterday. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah, yesterday was kind of a shit show. Darth Nicholas just woke up. Lucky you. I've been up since 8:30. This is terrible. That's like stupid o'clock for me. Killer says they only melted halfway. Well, I'm almost disappointed. Yeah, what I need is like an injection of coffee, right? Okay, so today I thought I'd do two things. And I'm not particularly caught up in the order in which I do them. Right, but Dimitri was talking about subscriber groups, and I touched on those in my Patreon-related stream last week, but I didn't go into a lot of detail, so I thought I might talk about that a little bit more, right, and, you know, kind of give a better explanation, but the this is going to be like part one, because I don't know how to do all the super advanced stuff with, like, sub-containers within containers. This is like a brand new feature, right? But Zog said he'd help me with that sometime today. So hopefully next week I will have something useful to tell you on that end of things. Right? And the other thing I thought I'd do is just keep working on my manuscript, or maybe doing some cleanup on some summer camp articles. As always, you have the option of using your channel points to get critiques or showcases, and you're quite welcome to do that. I don't know. I figured just kind of a chill stream today. Where do you guys want me to start? Yes, coffee. Coffee. The water of life. Have I ever talked about this coffee cup? This coffee cup is hilarious. Okay? Dates me a little bit, but I got this coffee cup for my 10th birthday. It was a present from my best friend, who knew that I was a real fangirl of the Smurfs, right? This whole fan Comic-Con stuff, I was doing that when, you know, when I didn't know there were any other weirdos out there who were doing that, right? When I discovered Comic-Cons, I'm like, oh my god, there's my people, right? But, yeah, so this coffee cup has survived since 1985, right? It has been thrown against walls. It has been dropped on concrete. It has survived, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I want to say 9 moves, 2 relationships, and it's still here. It's older than my kids. So, just saying. Coffee cup. My loyal friend. I didn't even drink coffee when she bought me the coffee cup. It's like she foretold the future. All writers drink coffee. I know you're going to have an addiction sooner or later, Diane. So here you go. She didn't say that. She was 10. Walking Dead says, I got my sweet sparkle shine. Nice badge. Diamond. Yes, the badges were delivered today. I was very happy. You guys want to see mine? I was very excited about mine here. Just a second. What am I looking at? Yes, this is my manuscript page, which I have up. Where are we? Welcome to summer camp. No, that's not what I'm after. Dashboard, okay. View my profile. Badges. Yay! I worked very hard for that badge, so I'm pretty proud of it. There's my participation badges, mostly for events that I almost won, but didn't, which is funny. So, WorldForge downtime. Yes, the badges came out today. Hey, DM Stretch, welcome. My hair looks terrible. Look at this. I gotta go back to the hairdresser, but okay. Yes, the badges are here. We don't need no stinking badges. No. I like my badges, so. Because I like to participate in things, and I like, you know, mementos of having participated in these things. It's fun. Barbarossa tackle hug Sable off screen. Sable falls off the chair. I try to get into the top 10. That makes me happy, says Tillers. Yeah, I'm happy with it, actually. It's cool. I've just, you know, it's just one of those funny things, because I've apparently come this close for, like, a whole bunch of stuff, right? Like, a whole bunch of things. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's funny now, actually. If I ever won anything, I'd probably be mad. Wish I could have that badge to put on my Twitch overlay. My hair looks fine and distinguished, which is saying, oh, my gray is showing, right? Yes. Yes, it is. I gotta go back to the hairdresser. I'm 45. You know, women who are 45 who do not go to the hairdresser every 6 weeks have gray hair, you know, mostly. So, it's okay. Dazzlecat says, once I learn CSS and images, I will be a contender. I know what you mean, right? It always feels like the people with the prettiest articles get the attention, but it's not exactly true, right? Like, it's true that it's easier when things are rated by likes to get attention, to make a short list if you do pretty stuff, but I'm not terribly adept with CSS. I just have a theme, you know, and my art is mostly picked from, like, you know, public domain sites, and, you know, I don't have a lot of commissioned pieces. I don't have time to make my own art, even if, you know, even if I trusted my own ability and had confidence in it to do it, really, so, because I always want better than I can do, you know, But, I mean, I'm not bad. I'm not bad as an artist, but, you know, you always want better, right? I'm not professional, you know? So, you know, and I tend to do okay, right? So it's not entirely that, you know? It really isn't. And when they pick the prizes, that isn't what it's about either, you know? I think my problem is I'm an overwriter. I'm not succinct enough, and I don't have any pretty art that I made. And I think that's, you know, probably why I'm always the bridesmaid never the bride. And it's cool. Alright. Barbarossa says, what do you mean I want a thing? What is the meaning of this nonsense, future Sable? Yeah, I would be stunned, actually. I don't tend to win a lot of stuff. It's, you know, whether it's a luck of the draw or whatever, either. Tiller says, if I win, I get ranked up to the Premier League. Why would I want that? Yeah, that's a good point, Tillers. Actually, I know for a fact, knowing, you know, the people who are in the league of the Premier League, if I ever did actually get bumped up to Premier League, that would be it. I'd be happy with my Premier League because I'll never win another competition again. Yeah. Okay. It's a stream jumping for people. I don't know. It always looks weird on my screen. The embers always look jerky. But they always look jerky when I'm doing this on Twitch. It looks fine on my stream manager, which is, you know, I've got the other computer running to do that. So hopefully it's not too bad for people. Damn Stretch says, I have just finished playing Diablo 3 on my own stream, so might be my computer. Yeah, I'd reboot, man. I reboot like half an hour before I start streams now, because then that gives it time to clear all the cache and to make sure that all the crap that insists upon auto running has done it. So, hello Natalia, nice to see you. Welcome. What kind of nonsense is this? Black Panther Marvel jokes. That's Barbarossa. Badoom tish. Okay, see you in 5 minutes there, DM Stretch. Fair enough. Dazzlecat says, I like to think my writing will carry itself, but we live in a visual age. Oh my god. Do you want me to get into my rant about internet marketing for writing? Or just marketing for writing in general? Because we might be here a while. I have a bit of a soapbox on that one. Okay, actually, alright. Here's the Reader's Digest condensed version of my rant. You have to do something that gets attention. There are thousands, millions of books out there that other people have written, and, you know, nobody's got time to read all the books they want to read. Oh, thank you for the posture check and the hydrate. Much appreciated. First day with my rented lips, apparently. Yeah, so, it's really hard to get attention out there, right? It used to be that you could make a blog or you could make a YouTube channel and people would, you know, find it and watch you, right? And you could make money that way, but it's not true anymore. Because it's just a bunch of noise. And the truth is now, especially with the recent changes to how internet bit rates and providers are allowed to operate in the United States, which is still the big internet home of everything, right? You know, you basically have to have money to get any bandwidth, right? So you have to do other things to get attention, and visuals are one of those ways in which you manage to do so, right? Once you've got the attention, the writing will carry itself, or it won't, right? But getting that attention is really hard. And if you're doing something weird, right? Like my stuff's weird, you know? You ask people what Weird West is, they don't know. They have no idea. You've never, you know. And then you tell them, oh, well, you know, it's supernatural stuff plus Westerns. And they're like, really? You know, you guys all know. You guys all know because this is our community, right? We're all world builders and we, you know, we're writers and we pay attention to this kind of stuff. But, you know, your average sci-fi reader has no freaking clue. right? So then you have to explain that. And then they're like, well, I don't like Westerns. So they decide they're not going to read it. That has happened a lot, right? And then on the other hand, with the Toy Soldier Saga being science fantasy, and not very traditional science fantasy either, right? Science fantasy tends to be more like Star Wars, right? It tends to use a lot of high tech with kind of a mystic overtone and a little magic here and there. And mine is all like Age of Sail technology, and magic makes it work, like a space opera. And people, you know, they hear that and it's like, that's just too weird for me, I don't understand that. And they don't, you know, like science fiction readers hear about that and they go, you have elves? I'm out, right? And fantasy readers hear about that and they go, you have like space opera ships? I'm out, right? I once actually had a story rejected that I sent to a fantasy magazine, right? There was one of the stories in the Toy Soldier Saga because they read like the first paragraph and said, we only accept fantasy, and generally if it has a space station, it's science fiction. So, yeah. Do I look tired? I feel tired. It makes me tired. Marketing makes me tired. I hate it. I hate doing it. I hate talking about myself. I hate, you know, I'm like, just read the fucking book, okay? You know, most people who read the damn book like it, right? But you gotta get attention. So yeah, visuals. That's how you do it. Which is why World Anvil is cool, because you can do good visuals with even like a basic guild membership, and you don't have to be incredibly skilled at CSS, and maybe you're not gonna, you know, get a whole bunch of attention with Anvilites who are used to seeing, you know, they've seen the Galaxy Anvil theme 1,000 times. It looks the same as all the other Galaxy Anvil themes. They don't care, right? But people who don't know World Anvil see that stuff and they're like, wow, this looks great. And then you get attention. Okay. Yeah. Tiller says, yeah, that. I'd rather stay in the top 10 and get looked at every time. Good point. Than winning once, right? And being looked at and then never again. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. Yeah. And I agree with that one. We'll have like a bunch of cheers stuff. Thank you guys. It's cool. All kinds of emotes. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Barbarossa. I think you're really awesome too. Barbarossa says, we have regional monopolies. It's either a big name brand or you don't get internet, which is dumb. Yep. Yep. Welcome to the corporatist dystopian cyberpunk hell that we always warned you about. Dinosaur Bob says, sailing ships in space never happened. Just give me my dragons, vampires, and demon gates to hell, please. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. It's like, right. So, and I imagine I'm not alone here, right? Like, because a lot of world builders tend to be very imaginative, and they tend to have very creative worlds. I mean, you know, it tends to be pretty niche stuff. Right? And you either have to sell it on the basis of this is so weird and unusual when you know it's not, right? I've read a whole bunch of Weird West stuff. I'm definitely not anywhere unique in writing it. You know, I might be a little unique in that I put some high fantasy elements in it. Most people don't have elves in their westerns, right? But you know it's not, right? But the rest of the world doesn't know. They haven't been exposed to it. Right, so I don't know, try to sell it with its unique aspect, I get. You gotta learn the art of hype, says Dazzlecat, and you're right, you do. If someone wants to give me lessons on this, I'll take them. Right, I just talk. I'm enthusiastic about my stuff, I like what I'm doing, you know, I think if you read it, you'll like it. Everyone who has, so... You know? Barbarossa says, why can't we have sailing ships under the water that ride on water currents and anything above water is deadly? Well, why can't we? Why not? Of course we can. This is fantasy. You can do whatever you want. Science fiction. You can do whatever you want. So the difference between science fiction and fantasy is the nature of the explanation changes, the science fiction at least pretends to obey the laws of physics as we currently understand them, right? That's it. Otherwise, and you know, I realize that there are science fiction readers out there who would be like, "What? Sacrilege!" But I don't agree. So, Harry Potter did, yes, exactly, and didn't bother to explain it over much either, which is another interesting thing, right? Even in magic right now, even in fantasy, Brandon Sanderson's theories on hard and soft magic have become very popular, and people are really interested in doing what they're calling hard magic systems, right? Which is the magic obeys certain laws, and that is it, right? And it's consistent within its world, and that's all. Right? And I think that gets bloody boring after a while too. I mean, like, it's cool, okay, but it doesn't all have to be like that, does it? I mean, isn't the whole point of magic to, like, break the rules? Right? Isn't fantasy, like, you know, supposed to be fun? Right? Like the rap battle, you know? You know, yes, it's true to life for characters to die randomly, but newsflash, the genre's called fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic. Yeah. I hate physics. It keeps pulling me down, says Barbarossa. Badoom tish. It's gonna be that kind of day, is it? Alright. The Drumstrang ship. That was awesome. That was awesome. Yes. It's Dinosaur Bob saying that one. DM Stretch says, I'm back, still jumpy, but better now. Maybe my computer needs to cool down. Yeah, I hear that. Nathalia had to come back because her internet was weird too. It appears to be a thing this weekend. Tillers was having real problems getting his stream up and running early this morning, right? And then he switched providers, and then it worked fine. I don't have providers to switch, so I hope that this hangs in there. So, Rowan says, see Davy Jones' ship in Pirates of the Caribbean. Exactly. It's fun. Dazzlecat says, it's when the rules of magic are broken is when things get lively. Tiller's swearing about his providers. I don't blame you. That was really, like, difficult this morning, wasn't it? I'm like there and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm ready. I like watching Taylor's build sheets on his stream, right? Even if I only understand maybe a tenth of what he's doing. Because I figure I'll pick the rest of it up, and either way it's relaxing, and there's something really kind of fun about watching an anthropomorphic rabbit swear in German. It's cool. So I'm so teasing you, Killers, I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind. I tease people I like, so I don't tease people I don't like, because then it's not funny, right? Okay. Yeah, paying lots of money, and they just F around with you. Yeah, Cyberpunk dystopia, remember? The corporations don't care about you. They don't give a shit what your opinion is. Yeah. Nathalia says, Rule 0 of the Brandon Sanderson's law, do what's awesome to you, so you can do everything that you come up with. Yeah. Yeah, and people forget that part, right? People want to apply the principles of science to magic. Go read something else, man. You know, you're not going to get that out of my books. You're just not. Ask, I could try to explain besides swearing, says Tillers. You know what? I'm so new to the whole thing. I don't even know what questions to ask. Right? I'm trying to, I'm really trying to learn, because I'm at a stage now where I'm getting frustrated with the limitations of what I have going on, which is, I want to do creative things with fonts. I want to do creative things with subscriber groups. I want to do, there's so much that I want to do, and I don't know where to start, right? I don't know how to ask. I keep asking, like, basic questions, in chats, right? In different channels, and people say, go read the codex, and I go, okay, and I go read the codex, and I go, okay, and so I don't understand anything at all, What I need is like an absolute, here's the very basic principles of CSS on a video for dummies. That's what I really need, right? But in the meantime, I'll learn it by immersion, I hope. When I know enough about it to ask you questions, Tillers, I promise you I will. Yeah. Barbarossa says, hey Sable, I have a world building writing question. Oh wait, nope, hold on, I missed stuff. Okay, yeah, so that's just comment about different providers. Okay, I'm skipping that. Barbarossa says, hey Sable, I have a world building writing question. How do you write emotions like post-traumatic stress disorder when you don't have any experience in it? I'm worried that if I do it wrong, I'm offensive, but if I don't include it, it's not realistic to the themes of scary war. Okay, the answer is sensitivity, readers, right? Start by asking someone who has experienced post-traumatic stress disorder what it's like, and see if they're willing to talk to you, right? Start with the conversation of, hey, I understand that you suffer from PTSD, and I want to know more about it, right? Let me ask you questions, right? Or you can also, there is such a thing as a library, that's where I started, and you go there, right? And then you get books about things like the stories of soldiers after World War I or after Vietnam, if it's war-related post-traumatic stress in particular you want to deal with, right? And you wait for them to show up and then you read them, right? And you kind of, do what a writer does best, empathize, right? Try to think about, well, how would I react? How would I feel? Do things like pay attention to the signs of it, the symptoms, but don't do it like from a clinical standpoint. Do it from a standpoint, like there's a lot of good books out there that'll write about, here's a symptom, right? And then they'll give you examples from the point of view of someone who suffers from PTSD, right? And they will, and pay more attention to that than the clinical aspect, right? How it feels, right? There's lots of good books out there. When you've done that and feel you got a good grounding in it, right? Just like any other historical research, which of course I know you know how to do, right? Then you chew on it a bit, and then when you feel it's right, you put it down on paper, you write about it, and then when you're done, right, if you really want to make sure, you run it by a sensitivity reader, someone who has a diagnosis. And I will be happy to help you with that, because I have a post-traumatic stress diagnosis. It's not war-related. It's related to screwed-up issues in my childhood and my husband's accident. But it is an official diagnosis, and I will be happy to help you. So, yeah. Nathalia says, put the tools you learn in your toolbox and choose the ones that work for you. Also good advice. Very good advice. Tiller's even having fun all day then, says Dinosaur Bob. Yeah, he says with a wincy face. Yep. Rowan says, Gareth, that's her son, my nephew, right? Watches subtitled anime with the sound on, where I am not watching it as well. I just make up what the characters are saying by their voice tones, and about half the time I'm close. Fair enough. Tiller says, now I fight with lifestyle being stripped down to life by the security filter. Oh dear. Oh, that sounds like fun. Right, because it takes out the word style. Yikes. Okay. I knew enough about it to know what you were talking about, though. I must be making progress. Okay, Dinosaur Bob says, a wise person once told me, you know the expression, it was my day today? Well, today was somebody else's day. Author Jamak. Oh, that's a good point. Says libraries in the time of COVID feels bad, man. All right, that's fair enough. So look into, yeah, I guess it's an extra layer of stuff, isn't it? Okay, two things. One is that sometimes your library will have an electronic borrowing program. Mine does. Right? They usually use a program called Overdrive to do that, or often they do. They seem to anyway. So you can often get the books that way. The second thing is that perhaps your library has like decontamination procedures. Mine currently does. Some things in BC are open and some things aren't. So I guess it depends on where you are. Right? Here in BC, we have a regional library that spans a bunch of, it's called the Okanagan Regional Library, and it spans a bunch of smaller cities and towns in my area, as well as some larger ones, not, big cities. but cities anyway. Right, and they all pool their resources, right? But they also, like, you'll end up with a longer waiting time for books because they give it a couple weeks of decontamination time after you've returned it, right? They also don't have the library building itself open. They will, like, give it to you out on the street right now, right? So, two different options. And of course, you can always, like, read stuff like you know, ebooks are generally cheaper. You can get them too, you know. I hear you. I miss my library too. I do. I used to like going in there to write. It was a great way to get away from noise and people, and I would go up to, like, you know, one of the high windows with the table beside it and sit out and write. And I like that, and bring my coffee from next door because you're allowed to do that, and now I can't do it and I'm sad. Yeah. DM Stretch says, I need that for CSS as well. Sable, I'm probably worse than you are. Even the very beginnings baffle me. Yeah, I'm still figuring it out, so you're probably in a very similar boat. Tiller says, nothing I can do, I'll just leave it like that. What else are you gonna do? Yeah. Yeah. Jamax says, ours is the same. I miss the building being open. Bob had a suggestion for Tillers about putting life censored in the label. Yeah. Rowan has a good point. Blogs and stuff from vets is also an option. Yes, there are a lot of bloggers who talk about their war experiences. In particular, you'll get, I mean, you're not going to get a lot of Vietnam War bloggers at this point, but you will get a lot of Gulf War and Afghanistan War veterans that will blog about that, for sure. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, you can get that perspective. Sorry, itch. Okay, so none of you answered my question, which is where do you want me to start today? So I'll take it that you're here basically to hang out. You don't really care what I'm doing, which is fine. That's cool. All right, in that case, why don't I do always, says Dazzlecat. Jamak smiles. Okay, fine, that's cool. Why don't I start then with the information about the different things you can do with subscriber groups, because I was talking about it from a Patreon related perspective last week, right? So I may go over some extra material, but I'm intending this as kind of a primer, right? And I'll go over that, and then we'll do some writing. Question, what do I need done soonest? You know what I need done soonest is to pick my birthday article winners, but I'm not doing that on stream because that's that would be far too much information. You guys don't need is to me trying to figure that out, right? So it's a lazy late summer Sunday afternoon. Yeah, that's what I need to do soonest because it needs to be done. But no, so that's not my option. Yeah, I'll start with the subscriber groups, and then we'll move on to either cleaning up some articles or just doing some editing work. Okay, Barbarossa has something here. I think the most notable examples of PTSD I've come across is when I read and later watched Eric Marie Renmark's All Is Quiet on the Western Front, when the whole book describes that to the main character. Renmark? Are you sure? No, or are you talking about director of a movie? Or, because All Quiet on the West, just a minute. Hold on here. You could be right. Oh yeah, okay, you are. Alright, I was mixing up who the author was with that. Sorry, Barbarossa. Okay, you're right, I'm wrong. Okay, All Quiet on the Western Front, when the whole book describes that to the main character wants to go home, but when he gets home, he is bombarded with questions. The fact that society hasn't changed since he left haunts him, and that certain sounds set him off. Like he dives and tackles someone when he hears a passing trolley because it sounds like a screaming bomb. You know what? That book had a huge influence on me, even though I didn't remember who the author was. I read it when I was something like 11, right? Because I was one of those precocious readers. And yeah, it really stuck with me. I think that you might even see some of the influence of it on my protagonist in the Toy Soldier Saga in like the second or third book. So, and even a little bit in the first, actually. No, yeah, yeah. So I read a lot of stuff related to war-related post-traumatic stress and whatnot when I was writing, when I was doing the drafting, right, initially. And I'm still drafting. I'm drafting book 3, right? But I'm in the final edit for book 1, right? And I read a bunch of stuff on Vietnam War vets, and I read a bunch of stuff on shell shock and battle fatigue and Gulf War syndrome, and a bunch of other related issues, right? I read Colonel Grossman's On Killing. I read and I read a bunch of novels. Okay, so yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front, good recommendation. Another one I would recommend is called The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. It's a science fiction novel, right? There's some really good work out there. Sometimes a novel can be better than a nonfiction book because it makes it more real, because you can describe the feelings better, right? And biography, especially autobiography, is always good, right? Barbarossa says, I only recently started rereading it because I needed some inspiration, and it is a very dark book. But then again, it is based on the author's experience when he was fighting in the German army during World War I. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, biography. Yeah. Sorry, did I say something else? Did I say bibliography? I probably did. I sometimes mix those up in my brain. So, biography. Yeah, if I didn't say that, that's what I meant. Okay. Right. Let's see. The TV series Band of Brothers is also excellent in this regard. So I watched that for inspiration. All right. Okay, so talking about subscriber groups today. I have 3 different types of subscriber groups. So I have probably all the different types in some form or another. To access them, you go to Settings and Tools and Access. The interwebs are slow today. Maybe this is why people are having problems with the stream. Okay, so this is a list of subscribers. These are their World Anvil names, so I'm not really worried about doxing them with this. It shows you, when you look at your subscribers management, that they, which groups they're part of. As you can see, I have a bunch of different ones. Right? And I will show you the groups and explain about what they are and why I have them. Okay, so these first 2 groups here are for our campaigns. These are Pathfinder RPG campaigns. This one is currently on hold, the new breed, but the old school one is the one that we are running on Monday nights at 6 p.m. here on Twitch, right? So they have information that the general public may not have, so they needed their own subscriber group. And also they need to have some of their information limited, right? So that's a thing, and so I needed to create that subscriber group. That is a group that we add people to manually, and that's the only way in which we do it. Then I have my patrons, right? Crew are $1 plus patrons. They get subscriptions to all of my fiction, and that's basically all that they get. I serialize a chapter each of the Toy Soldier Saga and the Weird West every week. At least I try to. I usually miss 1 week, so it's 6 chapters of fiction a month is effectively what people get. right? Then Ables are the $5 and above. They get our gaming material for different RPG systems that we're creating, right? We generally use secrets to hide that information. I will show you how that works because I can do that, right? Then Bosons get secrets and hidden articles. There's stuff that's especially, you know, spoilers, right? Spoilers. They get the spoilers, right? And then Masters get behind the scenes information and process posts, like what inspired me to write the Toy Soldier Saga, right? What was the reference material I used? You know, did I have a bad day of writing one day? You know, this kind of stuff. Sometimes people want to know that. I don't know why you would want to know that, but okay, no, I lie. Actually, I've watched all kinds of interviews with, you know, writers that I like, where that is kind of what I want to know. Right, and then I have, okay, so these ones are added through Patreon, and generally they're automated. There's an activation code that you can create that you put the link and the coupon code in your custom welcome email, which you now have. You can have on. You used to have one universal welcome message, so you would have to send this stuff to your different levels of subscribers in emails, right? But now you don't have to do that because they have custom welcome messages for each tier on Patreon, so you just send it to the appropriate tier, and it includes the link to find it, right, and then the coupon code to log in and get their information and sign up for the appropriate subscriber groups, right? Easy peasy. That's the benefit of a Sage Plus membership. Right, then you have this stuff, and this is the self-assigned subscriber groups, which I don't have any who have signed up to it yet, probably because first book hasn't been officially published yet. But basically, this is if you want the information for those various books in the series, and you can decide that for yourself, because if you want all the spoilers, it's none of my business. I don't care, right? You're not going to get all the secret and hidden behind the scenes major stuff anyway. Remember, I've got a Patreon subscriber group for that. But you know, if you want to know what happened to Shondar between book 1 and book 2, and you haven't read book 1, I don't care. Right? That's your business. Go ahead. Some people like that. But this way, you also will not be given information that is a spoiler if you don't specifically want it, right? Because unless you sign up for these groups, you're not going to find out what happened in book 2. I'm not going to make any of that information public. So, when you are creating a subscriber group, you want this information right here in the right-hand sidebar. You give a name to the group. Let's start, let's see. You know what? Let's play a game here. Okay, I'm going to give you guys something in the chat here. Little bonus because you guys came to show up for my stream today. Right? I am going to offer you guys a temporary subscription to the Toy Soldier Saga. Why? Because I think you'll stay. That's my gamble, right? When you're doing a promotion, that's always a gamble. So let's call it live stream promo. Description. Invitation to my stream audience to check out the Toy Soldier Saga. Position. We want this to be in front of everything, but I'm kind of an idiot, so I'm gonna have to renumber all this stuff. Because I want it to be clearly visible. So I'm going to call it 0, and then I'm going to rearrange that, because those numbers there on the left-hand side here indicate what order they appear in. The smaller the number, the closer to the top of the list, which is why these ones without numbers, being the role-playing game ones, are clearly visible right away. Visibility. Do not show this group to subscribers. By default, the subscribers can see which groups they belong to. Check this to hide the group from them. No, I want you guys to know you belong to this subscriber group, so I'm not going to check that. Self-assigning. Allow members of the community to assign this role to themselves. By default, subscribers need you to assign them to a group. If you allow the group to be self-assigned, they will have the option to get the rule themselves from your World's community page. This can be a great way to get them access to preferential content. Yes, it can, and that's why I've got these self-assigned groups for have you read the books, right? But I don't really want the general public to just have the stuff that I'm giving away to patrons. You guys can check it out though. So I'm not going to click that. I'm going to create an activation code for you. We're going to create the group. Now I have a group. Okay, and now I've got to do some rearranging here. So I'll do that later though, right? Because this gives you information about like the existing promo codes and stuff. But we're going to edit this one. Live stream promo. Okay. Just to see what information is there. It's actually access codes that I wanted. Okay, one moment here. Because I would rather you guys not see all my Patreon access codes. I wonder if I can like screw around with this window and just show you. It's important that I try to do this. Just a second here. All right. I'm gonna try to create a layout on the fly. Let's see if this works. Okay, so at least you can see me while I'm working here. Should have done this ages ago. Yuck! Holy crap, no! Okay. Anybody remember how I do black? Okay, with hex codes? Okay, there we go. Much better. It's purple. Something. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, and that'll be more than I want to cover. Let's try that. That down here. All right, now I think I'm ready to rock and roll here. Did I lie? Why are you not working? I'm not sure why that's not capturing my screen. Maybe I have to go back to it. Just a second here. Aaron got pot smoke up his nose. What are you doing? There we go. Okay, now we're going to shift this over here because I really wanted to show you the process of creating a new subscriber code, right? But I didn't want to show you all my existing subscriber codes, so we're good. All right. There. Now, okay, title. Stream promo. That way I'll remember what it is. Code. Prepare to be boarded. Why? Because that's always a raid shout, right? Subscriber group that you get. Live stream promo. Description. Promotional access to fiction for my viewers. Okay, maximum number of uses. You can set that. You can limit the number of uses. I'm going to say, oh, I don't know, 50? So, if 50 people have used this, it won't hand out anymore. Right? Expiry date. Today is what? August the 23rd? Let's expire this at the end of, let's expire it at the end of September, shall we? Oh, no, sorry, it's to limit when the code will be available to be used by. Alright, so no, we actually want to go limit at the end of this month. Right, after the end of this month, you can't use this code anymore. So whichever one of these happens first, whether it's the 50 uses or the expiry date, it'll stop making this code available, just like a Discord invite, right? Now, create code. Now we're going to want to activate this. Right, so this code here, they give you a code that activates the coupon, which I'll put in the chat. Right, and it's really simple. It's basically just your basic URL plus activate. Jeez, I hope Aaron isn't dying over there. You okay, honey? So now, if you guys would like a promotional access, and this will, I'll delete this after 1 month, but if you guys would like promotional access to my stuff, okay, good. Then go to that link and type in that code. Now, whoop, wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so how do you use that then? Like, how do you make use of that in your world? Well, I'm going to get off this page. I'm going to show you something else. So here's an example of something I could do. Right, so this is my manuscript. So it's published, and in general, it's available to the public, so that part of it will be available to the public, but not all of it is available to the public. These first, the front matter is, and I think chapter 1 is as well. Let me check that. Yep, public. Also, access to subscriber groups. Let's make that available to you guys as well, if you're going to sign up. But you should already be able to get it because it's available to the public. Now, chapter 2. There's all the... This is private at this point. Let's give you guys access. And we'll go through and we'll do that with any of the chapters that I currently have published, which means you have an opportunity to read deep into the book a bit. You'll basically be able to cover part 1. But remember, I'm not going to keep this forever. I'm going to remove the subscriber group. I'm going to take this down at some point. So this is like a preview here, and I'm going to leave it up until the end of September. At the end of September, I'm going to remove all this access. This is a limited time promotional. You can check out my stuff, right? So hopefully some of you will decide that it's worth investing to see more of it later. But if not, you'll get an idea of what's going on before the book comes out, right? And I think this is up to the end of where I've published. Oh, I didn't go to chapter 6. Click on chapter 6. Okay. There. Now you guys should be able to read anything I've currently published in the manuscript. Posture check, thank you. Make me write a sentence. Alright. That's how it works. You spend the points, and I write the sentence. Can I edit? Instead, I was working on some editing. Because that's a rule. No, I wanted a paragraph. I can edit instead? Okay, I will do that. I'm also going to back up and check out the chat here, just to make sure I haven't missed anything important. Barbarossa said, one thing that I actually like in a TV show about... Oh wait, no, I said I was going to edit. Okay, I'm going to edit this first, because that's how it works, and then I will do the chat. Sorry, okay. I will finish editing the chapter. I was pretty close to being done. Or the scene, anyway. Sorry, it's the first part of the chapter. If you're wondering what the clicking is in the background, I'm also editing it in my Word document that I copied it from. So but I'm not switching back and forth between the two. He's pressure washing again. Do you guys hear it? You know what, that's an interesting point there, the edit that I just made. You guys might want some discussion about that, because it's a writing thing. There's some debate about the use of dialogue tags, the things that describe how you say things. Most of us, at least if you were my age, were taught in school that said was dead. But now, everybody wants the dialogue tags to be as unobtrusive as possible. So then there's this big discussion. Can you actually do more than say, shout, or ask something? And so chuckled is one of those things. Can you chuckle something? Now, it's debated. I think you can, but a lot of editors don't like it. So if you make it its own thing, right, you'll notice here I've got, that's good, the captain chuckled. It could have been, that's good, the captain chuckled, which is how I originally intended it. But if I put it this way, then I'm not going to run into any arguments with any editors that don't like it. There are some things that are worth pushing, but I don't think that is one, because it preserves the original meaning and avoids an editorial issue, right? So. I think that could stand to be its own sentence. I used to write longer sentences than I do now. Alright, there you go. I finished the scene. I hope that is okay, Barbarossa. Okay. Barbarossa said earlier, one thing that I actually like in a TV show about returning home after World War I, there was a character in a British TV series who refused to ride the trains and would walk everywhere. It was later discovered in the series he was in a military train when it was attacked, and he had no good memories of ever riding the trains. It had one of the most surreal scenes, him sitting in the back of the car when the middle of the train is just torn in half by a bomb. Excuse me. DM Stretch says, I know a guy who served in Iraq. He got thrown about 20 feet by a mortar blast. He still hates fireworks. I don't know a guy, or a girl for that matter, who served in the military for any length of time who has any liking of fireworks. They do not like them. Sorry I missed you saying goodnight, Tillers. Have a good sleep. I'm just concerned someone was dying and Sable was calmly letting it happen. Well, I'm kind of used to him hacking and choking like that. If he actually were hacking and choking, he might die because I would not notice. it's not that I don't care, it's that it's not unusual for him to have some real hacking there. Thank you for saying we're awesome. Hey Danny, nice to see you. Did you get here in time to see the promo check out my fiction code thing that I am making available to the people in this chat because I am discussing subscriber groups? If not, let me know and I will repost it. Danny says, oh wow, I think I just realized how I screwed up my manuscript. Okay, cool. Right? I asked if it had been published, right? And that may have been part of it. Another thing that I've done, I'll show you. Actually, I'll show you what I've done. Because this is a thing. Okay, when you're here, right, and you've got the folders and stuff, right? If you take one of these texts and you put it, like, over there, like, you can, but it's not going to appear in what you want it to appear in. So you have to make sure that it's underneath or it's going to fall under the header. And sometimes you can line things up actually with your main title, and if you do that, it won't appear in what you've published at all. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Hey, Aegon, welcome. Nice to see you. Dazzlecat says, my level 1 main character snuck into a winged kobold lair and came as their profession fence of stolen goods. Or came out as. That's hilarious. You guys were helping me straighten out my screen. Thank you. Do they like, said with a chuckle. He like went, let's do it. Editors will love that. Might as well, right? Dazzlecat says, oh my god, my sentences are trains. I gotta work to keep them short. The current fad in what is good writing, okay? Like, I have a lot of salt about this issue because I am old enough to have seen it completely transform, and I recognize that it has transformed even, you know, well before stuff I've read, but there's facts about what's considered good writing. And right now, short and succinct with very little dialogue tags and limited adverbs is considered good writing. Right? In Lovecraft's time, and, you know, most of the classic novels that kind of founded what a novel is, it was exactly the opposite. Long sentences with verbose use of complicated words that demonstrated the literary capability of the writer. Like, I once read a Lovecraft sentence that went on for literally 3 pages. And, of course, said definitely was dead. So things change. It's just a matter of fads, right? But if you're going to get published and you're going to have people read your stuff, you kind of got to pay attention to it. Oh, thank you for the save check. Yes, I don't have to worry about it much, actually, in manuscripts. One of the beautiful things about manuscripts is that it auto-saves itself. But just to be sure, I'll make sure to put in a keystroke so that it does. Because, yeah, I've been... Often what I'll do is when I'm copying from a... yeah, you guys can't see what I'm doing, so I'll show you. Okay, often when I'm copying stuff from a Word document, this will appear, this subtitle thing, which is the date, and it'll appear without the formatting. And then I'll just move on to the next thing, and after I've formatted, but what I've forgotten is that it doesn't register you've done anything unless you've done a keystroke. So I come back, and the formatting didn't hold. So then I have to make sure, but if you, like, add a space and remove a space anywhere, it auto-saves, right up there, where it's fading right now, but it does. So that's how you have to do it. Just gotta remember. Which is challenging sometimes. Okay. I caught the end of you setting up some checks boxes. Thank you for the manuscript troubleshooting. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Yes, I am. I'll do it again. What I am doing is I was demonstrating, and I'm still not quite finished, but I was demonstrating how to do a subscriber group. And in order to do that, I am offering you guys a promo here because I had to create a subscriber group. There. And so I'm offering that to my viewers today. Go to that URL, type in that code, or copy and paste it. And then I'm giving you a month's free access to the serialized chapters that I've done so far in the Toy Soldier Saga, so that, you know, just because it's fun, and hey, maybe you'll like it. And if you do, maybe you'll consider spotting me $1 a month so you can keep reading. See? My evil plan! Well, you're welcome, Danny. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you guys have fun with it. And hey, even if you guys don't, then you know kind of where I'm going with it, at least to start with, when when the book comes out, right? So, there we go. Okay, so another thing you can do with subscriber groups that I will show you. Let's see here. We want to go to articles and categories before we shift this screen. Okay, so one thing I'm going to want to do is, because I've just created this new subscriber group, and it's a promo, have a look at my fiction, right? I'm going to want to make sure you guys have access to all of my fiction. So, much of these are available to the public. Survivor is a short story that's still in draft. Oh, okay. No, never mind. So what I already did that, but because the landing page is open to the public. This is the landing page for A Few Good Elves. It's just a generic article. Here's me promoting myself over here. This is a book trailer. It's a machinima book trailer I put together mostly from video game footage in order to give myself inspiration. So it's not an official book trailer, but I included it here because it's neat and it's fun, and maybe you guys like looking at it, right? People come to this site because they're interested in going beyond the books, so why not give them stuff to go beyond the books? Right? And then see, here's the link to the article, or to the manuscript right here. Right? And if you click on it, it takes you where you can go to read it. So, read! And there it is, and you'll see that I included the book trailer there too, right? Then I've got chapter 1, that's the available to the public part. Oh, do I have part 2 done? Do I have a couple chapters published? Why do we have chapter 9 published? Uh-oh. I did the wrong thing there. Okay, good thing I checked it. Alright, we're gonna fix that. Where was I? We're editing the manuscript anyway. Just a second here. I have to check my Patreon and see what I actually am supposed to have published right now. Because I'm a dummy and I did something wrong. Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, and I didn't even bother explaining. Oh god, I'm such a fool. Well, you know what? I was a bit behind on my chapters last month anyway, so why don't I make sure that I have chapter 8 published in between chapter 7 and chapter 9, shall I? Because that would be the intelligent thing to do. Alright. This part is private. Privacy settings. All my patrons. And you guys. right? Because I have the live stream promo group now. Private, published chapter. There, published. Now, let's go back to this loading page. And I'll have to make sure to add you to part 2, part 7, part 8. Yeah, okay, so good. Where am I here? Okay, yeah, I did publish that to my patrons already, so make sure to publish it to you guys as well. Chapter 7, I'll do the same. There. So now you guys have up to what my patrons have got for the moment. Now, remember that this manuscript is still kind of in the final editing stages, so if you run into anything when you're reading it that, you know, you think I should probably know about, please tell me. But yeah, back to what I was doing there with the pages. Okay, so yeah, this will all show as locked when you show up here probably too, and that's just to show that it's private. But you should have access, so if you click on it, it should be visible to you, right? Example, obviously I have access to chapter 2. Here is chapter 2. Even though it gave me a lock, because that's confused people before, I can still read it. Going back to my chapter listing. But if you're not one of the subscribers who is authorized to view it, it takes you to my Patreon nag page, ideally. Yes. Note my trigger warnings. Graphic violence, torture, sexual violence, war. You know, it is a military drama. Be aware. If that is stuff that you are really not interested in reading, don't. Alright, Danny says, evil plan equals we get to read Sable's words. Kit says, ooh, thanks. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Bob says, a kingdom has a king, an empire has an emperor, usually but not always. An empire will absorb kingdoms, but let them keep their kings as vassals. Yes, fair enough. Oh, right, because Barbarossa was asking what's the difference between a kingdom and an empire? Yeah, that's the difference. An empire is generally made up of multiple kingdoms and nations, right? Okay, but not always. See Holy Roman Empire in the late 1800s. Yeah, and Aaron agreed with me about it often encompasses multiple kingdoms, yes. Yeah, so Duerna, a small country made of a few dialects but sharing a similar universal culture, would be a kingdom? Yep, probably. Was he telling himself he was a dummy again? Don't make me hit you with a newspaper, Barbarossa. I will kick your butt. I'm tired of that. You are not a dummy. Oh, no, she was talking to me. Okay. I guess I better hit myself with the newspaper then, huh? Okay. Just kidding. I don't really think of myself as a dummy. I don't. I based it off of Wales, Scotland, Britain, and some Irish. Yeah, says Barbarossa. That's cool. Danny says, default for chapters is private, no matter what the setting for the manuscript is, right? Yes. Yes, you have to individually designate. Let me show you, because this will probably ease your mind. When I published A Few Good Elves, right? Where is it? I'm not seeing where it is. Okay. The important thing, access, that's what I'm after, sorry. Oh, And I guess I better give you guys that too, eh? Okay. I mean, these aren't really relevant, but yes, privacy status public is what I've got it at for the whole manuscript, right? But as you can see, chapter 8, I mean, just make sure to check this before you put it to public, but it does default to private. You have to individually publish each chapter as you go. It will not publish the whole manuscript if you publish the, launch page of it. It'll just, all it does when you publish the launch page is put a link to everything in the manuscript's setup. So, yeah, right? And you just double check that, make sure you've selected whatever groups it's appropriate to, right? And then it'll have a button that says publish, and you publish it. Like, I haven't published chapter 12 yet, obviously, when I show you what it says on chapter 12, and then that way you'll get, I'm sure you've seen it, but just in case you haven't. There, this part is private. Consider turning it public before you publish it. No, you don't have to. You can just publish the chapter and it'll be private. There you go. Alright. So, Bob says, yes, but the 4 kingdoms you were talking about, they're cheated. They claim to be kingdoms, but they all have the same king. Yes. Well, that's complicated. We're now queen. Barbarossa says they have 1 king, but the kingdom was once very divided and manorial for a lot of its history. There used to be many feuding kingdoms in the region, which have since been unified, though the regions maintain some cultural difference. This is something, actually, that I find that it's difficult sometimes for North Americans to understand about Europe, but you go over to the United Kingdom and you tell them that they are all 1 kingdom. And they'll be like, sort of, because Scottish, Irish, Welsh, and English culture are all very, very different. And there's more too, like the Isle of Man has its own culture and have for thousands of years. And this is more than just they have their own culture. It's like the difference between being in Kentucky and being in New York. No, it's more like the language is different. The religion is often different. The law is different. That's something that Americans in particular have difficulty wrapping their heads around, but it's true in Canada too, right? When you go to Quebec, which is, it has its own distinct nation clause in our Constitution, right? The law is different. That's why all the contests say available everywhere in North America except Quebec. Why? Because it has a different set of law. Most of English Canadian law is based on English common law, but Quebec law is based on the French legal tradition, right? So things like inheritance works differently. It's complex, right? So are they different kingdoms? Yeah, depends, right? Yeah, now if Scotland had a King Ian who swore fealty to Queen Elizabeth II, that would be a true empire. Well, that's true, but Britain used to be an empire, a true empire, right? And what's left of that is the Commonwealth, right? So there was a time when, and there's remnants of that. Elizabeth II is still the Queen of Canada, even though, regardless of whether or not she's the Queen of Britain. It makes, we don't care about that, right? As a matter of fact, there was a very interesting thing that would have come up, right? Because if Prince George, had been a girl, then Canada would have had a different successor than the United Kingdom would have, because it still says in the Canadian rules about who inherits, the eldest male heir, right? But the UK changed their laws so that it's the eldest direct descendant now, right? Which Canada will get around to that eventually, right? But things tend to work slowly in Canadian law when it comes to stuff like that. especially when it comes to significant constitutional changes, right? But it would have been different, right? So, an interesting point, you know? Empires are complicated. Okay, I like that one. DM Stretch says, reminds me of a joke I saw on Facebook. An empire has an emperor, a kingdom has a king. Our country has a... Bob says, Ireland itself once had dozens of kings. They unified under Brian Boru. Yep. Technically the Irish Empire at that time. Absolutely. Yep, then the Brits came in and took it all over, establishing earldoms where the kingdoms used to be. Absolutely correct. And that is why there was such a thing as the Ardrí, or the High King, right, in Celtic lands, because they were all little individual kingdoms, right? It wasn't just this big unified Ireland. Absolutely true. Right? There was the Rhys, the kings, and then the Ardrís were the high kings, right? Or the Ardbanri, even, or the Banri, which, you know, of course, are queens. And they could be independently rulers, because different regions had different rules about who inherited the throne, right? So there were lots of queens in their own right. It's just queen of what we would consider to be like, you know, Queen of Kelowna. That was a nation at that time, you know? Alright, so the end of the Empire and Kingdom debate. We're gonna go back to subscribers. Okay, so here's something funky that I've done with subscribers. We're gonna go to our articles. Right, yeah, right. I was showing you the article of A Few Good Elves landing page. Did I actually... Where is it now? That's the manuscripts. That's the author page. No, I already showed you. Okay, I was done with that, was I? Yeah, I was. Alright. So, let's look back at... There's some stuff I have under here. Okay. Okay, here's some interesting stuff that I did with subscriber groups. I think I've got it here. Hopefully I actually, like, did it. Otherwise I'm gonna have to switch to the other one. So this is Elves, which are one of the major races in my universe. Species, I should say. There's some of the major places they are. No, where was I talking about ethnicities? Did I break that down in the article? No, I didn't. Okay, but what I did do is make a child article. So this is what child articles are for. Scroll, scroll, scroll. No, I didn't do it there. Okay, so my intention is you'll be able to see these sub-articles, which are ethnicities of elves within the Toy Soldier Saga. But there are other ethnicities that you may not know information about. And actually, I think this is where I put some of that information that is a spoiler. Why am I showing this to you? Just to show what can be done. Yes, of course I'm dropping a lot of frames because I'm, like, looking through things. There we go. Star Elves. This block right here is only for Bosons and Masters. It tells you some secrets about the Star Elves. I put that in a secret when I was editing the article. Right? And then I added the secret to the page. Right? And this is how this is done. So you would add a secret, and it would put this secret, or like whatever you've added into that information there, it links it to the article. Then what you do, if you want to include it as part of the content, is you include the link that they provide in the secrets, just like with the manuscript link or the article block link or whatever, right? This little doodad right here, the clipboard, gives you that information, which you would then, you copy it, easy enough, and then you can put it within the article if you want. And since the secret, I'll show you some minor secret, it's not a big deal, but there's a reason why I added it. Related article and the subscriber groups that get it. So that's one of the things you can do with subscriber groups. Hide information. And that's just within the secrets tab, right? There's also ways, and this is where I've now run into the wall and why I say this is part 1. Because you can also create containers that are only visible to certain subscriber groups with CSS. And I will go into more detail about that in a future episode when I have a better understanding of it. All right, and that's my thing on subscriber groups for today. Dinosaur Bob says, my last name is O'Brien. This has been drilled into me. Yep, probably has. Morrison. Where is it? There. Morrison. Right? Highland Scots. Maiden name is a Lowland Scot name. Like my mother's maiden name. So, yeah. But I'm actually a lot more Polish than I am anything else. It's weird. Did I see the new World Anvil challenge, says Dazzlecat. I did. Shy Red Fox did too. And by the way, I did not say hi, hello, and thank you for stopping in. Yeah, it was announced on the World Anvil server. Pollinators, great excuse to play with diplomacy webs. Is that how that works? Interesting. Okay. Now I've got to look at it in more detail. I haven't had a chance yet. I was watching the Ethnos stream when I first heard about it. And then it was like, oh, it's 12:30. I better get ready to do my stream. So, somebody probably has a link for me, right? We can take a look at it if somebody posts a link for me, because then I don't have to open up my Discord, which will, like, bog down the stream and maybe cause it to crash. And we will check it out. Barbarossa says, I'm looking at Great Britain and England. It's kind of like there's a southern... It is kind of like there is southern Drina, the Midlands, and the High Country. Fair enough. Dazzlecat says, Flowers Bloom August Flash Challenge. Blog Challenge. Quick Sable name a river. Most rivers are named for people, you know. And how big? Great Divide, if it's a big one. If you're going with like pseudo-Celtic type names, the Dovey River, the O'Brien River. There you go. Yeah, Aaron's like, my last name is McCroy. Yep. Nice overview, says Shy Red Fox. Thanks. Cool. Danny says, thanks for the subscriber group infos. I'll have to catch the beginning parts on the VOD later too. I will actually cut out the specifically and highlight the subscriber info, right? I'm kind of putting it together because Dimitri asked me to, and since there, well, he didn't really ask. He said, does somebody have? And I'd already done some work on it, so I decided to kind of finish it up. But since there was a big pause in the middle while I was screwing around at the screen, and I had to do an edit, right? Because somebody used channel points, then I'm gonna have to like kind of cut them into highlights, and I'll leave them up for a couple of days so that people can have a look. And but either way, they'll be available as like unlisted links on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure what Dimitri wants to do with them. Maybe I don't know what's available in the codex. If there will be of use in the codex, we'll ask the other codex people. Shy Red Fox is one of the codex people too, right? And you know, maybe they can use them, but I'll leave them for a couple days. Yeah. Dazzlecat says, and I took a moment to admire my diamond badge. They sure made that pretty, didn't they? That's nice. You can feel good about that. Long Mountain River. Dovey? I was just thinking D-O-V-E-Y, but whatever. Sorry, on mobile. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Barbarossa says Long Mountain River, the Cascade River, because it falls out of the mountains. The Cold River. People aren't very creative with river names, man. They're not. The Wolf River. Find wolves up there. Alright, thank you for providing that. I will check it out now. Let's do it. Flowers are an important part of the ecosystem, and for this flash challenge, we want you to write about a species of pollinators in your world. If the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would only have 4 years left of life. Left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man. There are several different species of pollinators in our world. Birds, bats, butterflies, moths, flies, beetles, wasps, small mammals, bees, and some plants even pollinate themselves. How is it done in your world? Do fairies do it? Cyborgs? Is it a magical occurrence? Do flowers walk and pollinate each other that way? The possibilities are endless. Oh, okay, I've got some better ideas now. Alright, originally I was like, mostly it's just bees, but okay, no, maybe not. Rules. Where wise actions are the fruit of life, wise discourse is the pollination. Bryant McGill. Okay. World Anvil account, species or natural law template. Makes sense. Minimum 300, maximum 1500 words. Alright. 1 article per account, 1 person per account. The article needs to be public, submitted before the 30th. Post a link to your article as a comment to the blog post. So yeah, flash challenge. The cross-pollination of ideas is important. Try to apply the lessons you've learned to your current project. Andrew Hunt, the pragmatic programmer from Journeyman to Master. I'm liking how relevant these quotes are. Well done, guys. Prizes. Pride of having finished an article. Fun with friends. Janet and Dimitri will show up a couple of the entries on a stream over at the World Anvil Twitch channel when there is time. Other challenges. Every star that lights up the sky, every bee pollinating the flowers, every pet asking for a treat exposes us to energy that echoes throughout our universe. Oh, I so want to do something for this, and now I don't know if I can because it's a huge spoiler for my book. But there's a thing that happens with my trees of life that would be just perfect for this. How bad do I want to do that? Oh, now I gotta think about it. And Basic Dragon put that together. Well done, BD. That is a really, I love your choice of quotes. That's cool. Oh, I don't know now. Damn it. Barbarossa says, I got a Great Muse? What challenge was that? Great Muse challenge? I don't remember this one. Oh, he was looking at his badges, probably. I don't know. That was before my time. I was not a member of World Anvil when that happened. This challenge I will do dryads. Private it. Yeah, I can't enter the challenge though, right? Like, I can do it, and then I can enter the challenge, and then, like, I can make it private later, but how, I mean, like, that's the thing with flash challenges. It might take a couple of months for Janet and Dimitri to get around to putting it on stream if they think it's cool. And if I put it out there that long, then I'll reveal the secret to everybody. If you wouldn't have said anything, none of us would have known. Oh, but I'm like, oh, but it's a cool thing. It's really cool. I think it's a really cool idea, and I'm like, no, I don't know. You're right. I can make it private later. You're right. I can. And I've done that with other challenges. I did that with the military unit and secret organization. Yeah. Dinosaur Bob says, am I missing something though? How does a natural law article let us play with relationship webs? That's a good question. I don't know. I imagine, you know, something like if you created a relationship web, like, say, I don't know, there's a parasite that lives on a bat, and the bat goes to eat a fruit, and then the parasite drops off, and it you know, gets into the flower because that's what it eats in its next larval stage, and then the flower, like, goes, you know, and once it transforms, it becomes a flying insect, and it goes to other things and pollinates them. I mean, like, I can see how that could all be laid out in a relationship web, and since that would not be a single species, that would have to be taken care of with a natural law. COVID, says Round Strider. Yep, a good example. We want to know now. Ha ha! You're gonna have to wait for the article if I decide to write it. Sorry. But if I do, I'll let you know. Yeah. Barbarossa says, my dryads I mentioned earlier would be good, right? Yes, they would. Barbarossa has a really neat idea with the way dryads work that I think would, it's ironic that we were discussing it actually, because I think this would be perfect for that. Yeah. Bob says, at least that's what some were saying, but webs need organizations. We gotta create organization stubs for all that? I'm probably not. I don't see how creating it would add to this in my particular case. Maybe. Well, it might actually. Hold on. Okay, I might actually use it because I do have relevant organizations that will relate to that. Barbarossa asks, should I mention it here? If you want to, it's up to you. Yeah, Sharon Fox says, I'm hoping we don't have to use organizations for the web. There's no, I think that the reference to organizations is mixing up of this and the next, like, bigger challenge, because wouldn't we have one more bigger challenge before, like a community challenge as opposed to a flash challenge before Nano and World Ember? So maybe it was, because there's rumors that it's designed to be used in that respect, but you can't, like, their own rules, they wouldn't make it required because everybody should be able to participate in the challenges, and I don't think you can have organization webs as a freeman, right? So I'm not sure. Yeah. I have yet to play with the web, says Shy-Red Fox. Me neither. I haven't done it yet either, and it's because I'm way behind on setting up my organizations. So I probably will once I have all the major organizations done, but I don't have them done yet. So yeah. Bob says to Barbarossa, no, don't. You are not the only one with dryads. That's true. You might give your idea away. Yet once articles are done, we can all share. It's a deal. I promise you I will share whatever my article is, and I welcome you guys to do the same. We will do an entire WorldForge stream that will be dedicated to that. And that will be a lot of fun. Because I like looking at other people's work. I'm always excited about what other people are doing, creating stuff in their worlds. I think it's just amazing fun. So, is Shell Red Fox off? Is that a wave goodbye? Bye! Thanks for joining, if you're going. I appreciate you dropping in. It's great. I'll tell you what though, guys, it's 3 o'clock. I am out of coffee, which is a criminal offense. So I'm going to have to go and get some more. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll see you in about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. Okay? Oh, it's a thumbs up. Okay. Oh, it is too. I'm sorry, I'm just blind. Yes, it's a thumbs up. Okay, it's not a wave goodbye. Okay, cool. So we will do that. We'll have that streamed. If summer camp is an indication, we'll all want our articles read before deadline. Yes! I think that's a lot of fun, don't you? Sharing articles like that? That was one of my favorite parts of summer camp, and I said so. Anyway, I'll be back in a moment or two, guys. All right, I'm back. I have coffee now. Yeah, we were discussing the community challenge. Hi, Song. Nice to see you. Welcome. Coffee. Yes. Coffee is needed today. So. Yeah, what did you miss? We discussed some of the stuff you can do with subscriber groups. And in order to demonstrate, I created a subscriber group that I'm going to delete after the end of September. That is like a free promo for people who are in the stream to come and check out what I'm doing. So, where is my streaming mug? It is over here, but there was not enough coffee to put in it because somebody did not make coffee and I did not have time. So, that was from Aaron, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, snap! Yeah, it's fun. I'm just teasing, of course, but yeah. Realm says, I'm totally lurking in the background. I'm researching grants right now. Good luck. I hope you find something that suits you. In Aaron's defense, coffee is hard to make. Dinosaur Bob says, you want trivia on smallest country. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta is legally a sovereign state. Yes, it is. This is not the island of Malta. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta is wholly contained inside the Vatican, which is itself a sovereign state contained wholly within Italy. A very good example of the fact sovereign states are complicated, right? Technically, when you have a confederation, every part of it is a sovereign state of its own, right? Canada is actually like that. Canada is a confederation. The provinces and territories are each their own sovereignty. So in addition to having a governor general, who is the direct representative of the Queen federally, we also have lieutenant governors who are the direct representatives of the Queen in our provinces and territories. And or maybe just provinces. I don't know if the territories have them. But, and I should know that, but I don't. And but they don't answer to the Governor General, right? They are independent representatives of the Queen who answer to the Queen. So, interesting, isn't it? Especially if you're making it from scratch, you gotta make the universe first, says Barbarossa. Yep. Danny says, depends on how many steps back in the coffee production you go. Yep. The universe? Alright, that's a pretty complex coffee, says Danny. She's right. Aaron's like, why would I make coffee? I don't drink coffee. Yes, you do. You drink chilled coffee, and I put your damn ice cubes in the fridge this morning. You're welcome. You did not make ice. I did. So why would you do it? Because you would do it for me. Because you're nice. But apparently no. So... Barbarossa says, okay, Dinosaur Bob first says, so were the United States under the Articles of Confederation. Yeah. Barbarossa says, oh, I wrote a fun scene experimenting with sound. It was a gunfight and grenade going off in an underground tunnel, which echoes and is dark, and you can only see flashes of light. That must have been interesting. It was super interesting to write because I had to close my eyes and listen to gunfire sounds. Good for you. That sounds like fun. Esau grabs popcorn. Dazzlecat dives for cover. Daddy's just laughing. Ah, it's fun. We have fun. Okay, so what am I going to do with the last hour of this, guys? I laid out the subscriber groups. I talked about editing. I suppose I could, like, just work on my manuscript and do some nice, chill editing if you guys wanted. Oh, we got questions. That's cool. Got a question about world building / game. If there's a lull, hey, that's why I'm here. Absolutely. Ask whatever you like. You bet. That's part of, you know, what the WorldForge is for. So. Yeah, my problem is, right, I probably should be cleaning up articles for summer camp. But I'm not, because I'm a little burnt out on the world building portion right now, because I worked so hard at it, and I'm really kind of driven now that I've made a decision, a firm decision, that I'm going to self-publish the Toy Soldier Saga books as opposed to seek traditional publication for them. And the reason why I've done that is because I think that the things I can do with World Anvil are so much cooler than the things that any publishing company would do for me, right? And I want more creative control in order to do that, so... that's why I'm doing it this way. But now that I made that decision, I'm like, okay, it's time to stop screwing around and get the book out there. You've been working on it for 10 years, girl. That's long enough. Do the final edit, make sure that the writing's up to your current standard, and put it out there, right? And stop chewing on it. And it's in part because it was one of the earlier things that I seriously wrote. Like, it's the first manuscript, fiction manuscript that I actually finished, right? So it's a bit of a baby for me. So I'm like, but if people don't like my baby and it's not perfect, you know? And I've had some pretty harsh critique, right? So, you know, I've also got people who've looked me up after 10 years and gone, are you done yet? So, yeah. Right, so I'm feeling this urge to just get it done. Right? I'm going to get it done. I'm going to put it out there. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Right? So that's what I'm driven to work on right now. Okay. And that's why I have like 6 or 7 different projects, because I have ADD and I don't focus well. Okay. Or effectively, like, I have ADD. I don't have a diagnosis. They didn't diagnose kids with that when I was in school, especially not girls. So I have no idea. Right? But I do know that I usually have about 17 different things going on in my brain at once, and that's why World Anvil is the ideal thing for me, because I can explore all of that, but it all kind of works back, right? So, Esong says, it's my RPG. My characters are wanting to own a ship for the first time, while also perhaps purchasing a house that they cleared that's been abandoned and haunted for years. Any idea on how to make those two things realistic? Never done either. who also, okay. And that's different conversation there. All right. It depends, right? How bogged down in the details do you want to get, right? Because I don't think that, dealing with bureaucracy is any fun, right? So I don't want to do that in my role-playing game. I would rather it go smoothly, or that it be a catalyst for adventure, right? If somebody's being difficult in terms of the purchase of these things, maybe there's a reason why, right? Is there like, okay, so there was a haunted house, they cleared it up, but maybe something about the location of the haunted house, maybe there's ley lines that cross there that created an easy access to a portal to different realms, and maybe one of the senior executives of the city's housing department wants access to it because they're doing like secret arcane rituals in the basement. Who knows, right? You could set that kind of thing up. A ship, well, as Dinosaur Bob will tell you, both of these things, houses and ships, are gold sinks. You can make them require a lot of fixing up. People will want to make them pretty, so they will spend their character money on that instead of on, cool magic items, right? Or like super spell books. And then that means that you can keep the characters from getting OP much less quickly, right? So it depends. We're in the process of working on a ship that we just acquired, right, in our game, and I imagine that we'll be dealing with some of those details tomorrow night. So if you want to see how Aaron does it, then tune in, right? And we'll probably be doing that. So I don't know if that's of any help or exactly what you were asking. If I'm not answering your question properly, Solomon, give me more info or tell me what it is you were specifically looking for, and I'll try to do that. All right. Aaron says, "Who the literal hell did you marry? Nice and Aaron are not synonymous with Aaron as a senior psychopath who occasionally refers to himself in the third person." And Danny's like, "Go get him." Go, Sable, go. Esong says, "Who happens to be a nice person occasionally, but clearly not this morning with coffee." Yes. You know what? Psychopaths can be nice people too. Sociopaths are not nice people. You are not a sociopath. You are a psychopath. There is a difference here. Psh. DM Stretch says to Barbarossa, "What they don't tell you is the concussive wave would travel further in a tunnel due to the confined space." Yes, it would. Right? It would impact on your ears more depending on how close you were to the blast. Yeah. Yep, true. Esong says, "ADDers united after 5 pit stops, and it's 7 different times." Yep. Squirrel! Danny says, "Aaron Reba, nice equals Aaron is close to a palindrome." So it is. How neat. Rowan. See? Rowan's good for me. Rowan is one of my oldest friends. We lived together for a very long time. We helped raise each other's kids as part of our extended family, right? She says, "Time to stop fucking with it." Yes, it is. Because there's a point when you're doing creative work, when you keep screwing around with it, right? And then you forget why it was you started in the first place. You lose sight of your vision. You start interfering with the original intent of the work. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but maybe it's good enough, right? I already was kind of in danger of that, right? Jamie, who is my editor and our partner, really did not like my beginning. The part that is available now for you guys to read. He doesn't like it at all, right? And the reason why is that he feels it reads very YA, which is different from the tone of the rest of the books, because it is kind of it's like the beginning of Game of Thrones, right? Unfortunately, I don't have a Ned Stark to go into the head of to give you more of an adult perspective on what's going on. I only have my characters here. Now, I suppose I could, and I'm considering, and hey, you guys are going to read it, right? So tell me if you think I should go into the heads of Celine, formerly Wintermist, and Ruavel Sunfall, who are my protagonist parents, right? And if you want to get to know them as kids, like, young people, early adults, right? Then those are the characters that Aaron and I are playing on Monday nights, right? So, I could go into their head a bit, right? But part of, I'm reluctant. And the reason why I'm reluctant is because part of the story later on depends upon, like, the twists depend upon the difference between a child's perspective and an adult's perspective. And if I give it away too early, right, then I think I'm going to wreck it. So, but if you feel that I need to do something like that, I can. There are sequences that I wrote that might relate to it, and I could give, some of their more adult perspective on it, right? If you think it feels too young adult, because as of about at least halfway through the first book, it is definitely not young adult anymore, right? So, yeah, I look for your advice on that. Anyway, he really didn't like it. He wanted me to cut it out completely, right? So I did. I went, okay, fine. And then I started with one of the first major battles, which eventually is also the novella that's available to anyone to read in the prose section, called The Queen's Dirk, right? And then I sent it to a friend to edit, right, in return for a promise that I would edit one of his books at some point, and he didn't like it. He said that my character felt like Mary Sue, Marty Stew or whatever, because everything was like way too easy for him. And the problem is that, yeah, as of that point, it is, right? But that's because things have been crap for him before that, right? And this is a period in life where actually it turns out he's pretty good at some things. And these are the things that get him involved in the rest of the story, right? So I realized I have to have it, but so I'm conflicted on how to deal with it. And at this point, my tendency is to just leave it, right? And let people figure it out. But you tell me. Anyway. DM Stretch. Okay, Barbarossa said to DM Stretch, I had to deal with that as well. I actually watched a Great War video on tunnel warfare, which is super, super hell. Yes. DM Stretch says to the Songbird, hey, you want to know about haunted houses? Ask my players how much I like to use spooky things. E-Song says, realistic gameplay doesn't make it handed on a silver platter. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so clarifying her question, right? I just don't want to be at the point where, like you guys have it done. I want to be like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes of like negotiation or something that feels a little more rooted in the world. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's kind of fun to instigate a little bit of realism in it. What is the character's relationship to the town, right? Do they have a reputation as being popular there? Do they have a reputation as being troublemakers? Often, if they're like openly adventurers, often towns don't want to deal with adventurers, right? So maybe they might discourage them from settling there. So they might have to win a diplomacy check against a bureaucrat, right? And you can give the bureaucrat reasons not to like them, right? Maybe the bureaucrat views them as a threat to the local power structure. Maybe they have a good reputation in town, but the bureaucrats hold the power, and they recognize that populist heroes like adventurers are probably a threat to their nice little scheme that they have going on with their, one hand washes the other and all that sort of nonsense that always happens in politics, right? And maybe they don't want adventurers there, so it's a particularly difficult negotiation. And maybe you can even make a little adventure out of it if you want to. Maybe they have to get something to hold over the official who's roadblocking them. So there's some ideas. DM Stretch says, yes, that was the worst job for U.S. soldiers in Vietnam. Searching tunnels was hell. Tunnel Rat was hard. So were Lurps, right? I don't know which one would be harder. And one that's often underestimated is Medics. I've read some stuff. Yeah. Dinosaur Bob, adding to the suggestions for each song, says, who did the house belong to? What heir is going to show up to claim it? Well, there is that. Probably it's left to somebody if it's real property. Right? What property taxes exist? Yes, maybe they have to pay a bunch of unpaid back taxes. Danny asked, is there an actual ghost? DM Stretch says, maybe there's a stigma attached to it. These are all good suggestions. Kidoi Poi says, question about writing based on a D&D campaign like yours is based on Spelljammer. What do you do to file off the serial numbers, or do you even worry about it? Do you think that I have filed off the serial numbers sufficiently? You know, I wonder, because if you've read Spelljammer and then you see what I'm doing, you recognize it, right? You see the bones. So, but here's the thing, okay? Sailing ships in space are not a new idea, right? That's been around for a while. Living ships has been around for a while. Elves fighting orcs has been around for a while. Everything that is part of it has been around for a while. So they can't really claim control over those ideas in particular. Right, but there is intellectual property, right? So you can't use anything from the Forgotten Realms. You can't use anything that's specifically from Spelljammer. Spelljammer is a special weird one because it's in some kind of weird copyright hell and has been for 20 years now, which is why I gave up on actually trying to write it as a Spelljammer novel. I was trying to see if Wizards would buy it, but first of all, they won't talk to anybody who's not in their little circle, and secondly, Spelljammer's in this weird copyright hell, and nobody's certain who owns it, right? So, so you can't use any of that, right? And you can't use any of their characters or the specific stuff they've named, right? So those are ways to do that, right? I've also changed a lot about how the metaphysics work, right? And hopefully I've done enough that it's not, like, it doesn't feel like Spelljammer to me anymore, right? It feels like the universe works very differently. It's got a lot more scientific aspects in how things work and a lot more realism, I think, than Spelljammer did. It's definitely an homage. I loved Spelljammer. It was my favorite campaign setting ever, and I'll never forgive Wizards for letting it die after 2nd edition, except for that, cheap-ass excuse for a thing that they sold to Paizo to let them do, which, hey, you can work with it, right? I was part of a huge Spelljammer fandom community. I was one of the people who was, like, always on the message boards. I wrote stuff for the website, right? And, the official fan website, right? And I feel very betrayed by them, right? So, okay, but that's a whole different story. Okay, what you're looking for, right, is a video on YouTube, right, which is a lecture that was given at a science fiction and fantasy convention called Pity You Can't Publish It. I'll put that title in the chat. That is what I watched to make sure I was doing right. That's what the video is called. Look for that, search for that on YouTube. If you type that in, you'll find it, and then follow his instructions. And that's how you file the serial numbers off for something that started as fan fiction. I hope that's helpful. It was helpful to me. DM Stretch says, how much work needs doing to it? We're back to the house, right? Is it structurally safe? Exactly. Kidoi Poi says, clarifies why. They need the information, right? I'm writing now in a heavily D&D world, so thinking if I have to rename everything or just go for it. Yes, you have to rename everything. Absolutely, you have to rename everything, and you may need to make significant changes to the way they relate to each other as well. Right? So consider what's necessary for the story. What do you absolutely have to make it work? Right? And then change the stuff around that as much as you can without losing what you were originally trying to do. Sorry, I know. It's a fair bit of work. Dinosaur Bob says, for ship, who is crewing? Who is purchasing sails? They have a very limited lifespan. Yes, they do. Esong says, there is a potential error, maybe. Definitely taxes. Stigma of hauntedness, for sure. They need to get a crew. That'll be fun. Yep, and they gotta pay that crew in some manner. Right? Crew hunting with occasional, nutsos? Occasional nutsos. Yep, sure, exactly, right? And coming up with, how are they going to pay them? Is there going to be like a wage? That's usual, right? Is it going to be, are they going to be privateers and they're getting paid in shares of the loot? Who's going to sign their letter of marque if they're privateers? If they just go pirate, how are they going to stay out of the hands of the authorities? Yeah. Good question from Esong to Dinosaur Bob, which I'm sure he answers back here eventually. How long do sales last? Right? Dinosaur Bob says, let them do either. If it ends up working well for your story, let them go. If either or both become problematic, you have many tools at your disposal to make them change their minds. Yep. Esong also adds, any logistics of ship ownership I should help my characters be aware of. Right? And then she also agrees with Dinosaur Bob about truth. She's thinking they'll just have to pay taxes and register the properties at this point, which is fine. Yep. Got to switch up to text only. I'll miss out on the beautiful Sableness. Well, thank you for thinking it's beautiful Sableness. I'm not feeling very beautiful today. I don't think you're missing anything. I feel like I look like I'm dead tired and ridiculous, so that's fine. Right? But I'll try to catch the VOD later, and that's cool. Yeah. Bob says, till they get two, answering to the sales, till they get 2 salt crusted from sea spray, or 1 good storm, or cannon battle. Yeah, absolutely. This applies even in my universe where there are sailing ships in space. There is an enchantment on ships worked through the Spin Dizzy or the Starseed engine that allows the sails to actually catch airs. But they wear out too. And one of the big ways in which they wear out is constant exposure to direct unfiltered sunlight, right? Sunlight in space does not, I mean, there's etheric membranes, but it has limited effectiveness. And when you leave fabric out for a long time, it'll eventually wear out the fabric and destroy it because of exposure to the sun. Canvas does that. So you're not going to get any salt encrusted canvas in space because there's no salt. It's not salt water. But the unfiltered sunlight is going to wear it out. So you have to maintain it. Absolutely. Yep. We can't afford to operate this ship yet. This is a project, the one that we just got in the game. Yeah. About 5,000 knots in Songbird. Yeah. Danny says, don't let perfection get in the way of done. Always a problem. And one I struggle with, like everybody else, right? I'm excited you're letting the book get out there and doing it in a savvy way. Hey, WD Michael is here. Welcome. Hype, hype, hype back. Wizard Hype. Good to see you. Barbarossa says, I guess I'm a bit more lucky since my world is more Victorian. Everyone is a bit more grown up mentally than any other age. Children are working in factories, smoking, seeing death of their friends and co-workers. It's a dark time, so everyone has an adult perspective. Yeah. Fair enough. Aegon's back. Howdy, everyone. Yeah. Then Eve's song asked Aaron, what's a knot? Goes to Google. Nautical mile. Yeah. Yep. Rowan says, you can't please everyone, and this book is for you, and you are choosing to share it with everyone. And that's always good advice, right? But critique is helpful, right? Yeah, ultimately I listen to what people have to say and then make my own decisions. So, yeah, I realized that I needed that beginning part, and I'm keeping it. The question is, do I need to add something to give it a more adult perspective in the same way? Like, consider how Game of Thrones starts, right? We start with Ned Stark's perspective on things mostly, right? We touch on Catelyn Stark. We go to Dany a little, right? And the kids are there, and we get their perspective. Bran is the one we start with, right? Jon Snow, right? But they they ease us into it as the children grow up and are changed by their experiences, right? It's actually a very clever framing device on behalf of George R. R. Martin that I don't think gets anywhere near enough attention or respect. People talk about the stuff that he does, but they never pay attention to that one. It's really well done. I don't know that I can do this with the Toy Soldier Saga, although I admire it, because I don't want to give too much away that is important in the future. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, E-Song says, I know homophone's still funny. Not equals 0. Yeah. It's hilarious. Go Sable and book awesomeness. Thanks, E-Song. Well, if you watch the VOD later, you can get the activation code too. I think it appears near the end of the first hour. So you can read what I've got at the beginning for yourself if you want. I don't want to put it again in the stream. Maybe I'll message it to you later, because if I do that, then I've got 3 different places where it appears in the stream, and I'm going to get overwhelmed. I've got a limit of 50 people who can use it, and it's a temporary thing. It expires at the end of September. At the end of September, I'll be removing that subscriber group, and at that point, you want to keep reading, hey, it only costs you $1 a month, guys. So, but then you can check it out. Okay, DN Stretch, see you later. I will definitely see you in Kahuna's stream, because of course we're going to raid him when we're done. Right? Aaron is kindly giving nautical mile equivalents in kilometers and miles, which is helpful. Yes, it's a Kahuna Reads night. I'm excited. Yeah, suggestion that maybe your characters there, E-Song, might have to contend with the family the house belonged to. That was sort of briefly touched on. People said, is an heir going to show up? Yeah, that's, likely. People don't exactly just hand away their real property, right? They keep it in the family. Aegon says, I'm just writing and getting ready for D&D tonight. All right, game night. Awesome. Yeah, E-Song agrees they got to see some of them through letters. Could be a fun thing to bring back in a few months. Oh, yes, they've got the house, but then the family shows up and contests their ownership. That could be great. Dazzlecat says, science technically has sailing ships in space. Solar sails are a real thing. They are. The current limitation of solar sails is the fact that they don't, with our current technology, generate enough power to accelerate the ship at a level that we could travel in, right? Like, there are real plans. I'm given to understand it's one of those things that a bunch of these billionaires have collaborated on, but their idea is to send a solar sail powered bot to Proxima Centauri, which is our nearest star, right? And our nearest neighbor star, and see what's there, right? We know there's at least one planet that's within the potential Goldilocks zone, and they really want to check it out. And I think that sending, like, little teeny bot, right, will take about 80 years to do by the acceleration that you can get with solar sails, which is incredibly fast, but it's not enough power to power like 200 people on a ship. And then how do you feed them, right? But yeah, it's a thing, right? And they kind of played on that in Treasure Planet. You can see that the sails, when they fill, they light up with hexagonal grids that we think of as being, solar panel related. And yeah, it works. It's an excellent technology. It's brilliant, right? But didn't feel that it was like, I didn't want to be that scientific, right, in my world. I want more of a Napoleonic Wars, you know. I want a more of a feel like Master and Commander. I don't want to feel like, you know, raise the deflector shields. I have deflector shields, the technology for them exists, I just don't want to have that conversation, and it's magic, right? So yeah, it's one of those things. But you're right, the technology does exist. You're absolutely right. Aegon says, Wizards is hard to get your foot in the door unless you have friends already working there. I don't think they wanted to let Spelljammer die, but the rights, I think, caused them issues about putting it out for third, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, and I believe that's true too, right? I don't think TSR wholly owned the rights to Spelljammer. Well, they stole a bunch of shit outright, to be frank, right? Yeah, they didn't wholly own the rights. Jeff Grubb owned some of the rights individually. I believe there was some contestment over that, right? And rightfully so. There was, like, their whole Bionoid thing was stolen from, what are they called, Guyvers? It's an anime, right? I mean, like, it's blatantly stolen. I bought, like, the #1 comic of that issue came through my bookstore that I was working at, and I bought it just to check it out for that reason, and it is absolutely a blatant theft. Bionoids, right? Blatant. You know? I mean, it's sticky. Which is why they don't appear in my book, by the way. Even though I think the idea is cool, even though I had a plot line that was all centered around that, I have done something different, right? Pity you can't publish it. It gives you instructions about how to change that. So, yeah, you're welcome there, Kit. I hope it's helpful. Didn't Spelljammers appear in early X-Men as the parents of Cyclops and Havoc? Says Dazzlecat. Could be, but I didn't read that issue, so I don't know. Please inform me if that is true. Hey, Story Girl's here. How you doing? Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I did stop in on a stream like a few days ago, but I haven't been back since because things have been pretty crazy in my life. How's yours? Yes. Yeah. Do you have Lithids and or Beholders? Those are copyrighted creatures, says Dinosaur Bob. Yes, I also had Lithids and Beholders. They're very important to the Spelljammer setting. I had to do some significant changes, but I have done those changes, and now I'm pretty sure that the only one who could get ticked off is Lovecraft, and a lot of his stuff is public domain, so too bad. Okay. So. Kit says not yet, but there are a lot of the races, Genasi, etc., but easy enough to rename. Starjammers in X-Men, says Kit. Okay, good to know. They did do a Spelljammer comic, though. They did actually do it, right? And it didn't do very well. For the same reason that the Spelljammer novels did not do very well, which I'm sorry to say, in my opinion, is not very good writing. So, there are some really good writers who work with Wizards, but unfortunately they generally weren't working on that project. So, well, fiction writing anyway. Game writers are amazing, obviously. I thought it was amazing, but yeah, fiction writers, you know, should have given it to Cunningham and Salvatore, and then it would have been fine. Okay, my opinion. Ooh, yikes! Story Girl is dialing from a high dependency ward after surgery on a skeptal abscess. I don't know what a skeptal abscess is. Yikes. Work on novel has been stalled for the last week and a half. I'm so sorry to hear that. That is awful. Sounds like your life is just as crazy as mine at the moment, and that is really shitty. I'm very sorry to hear it. I hope you get better quickly. You may have to do more than just rename for some species. Yes, you will almost certainly have to do more than rename. You will have to make significant changes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking through that. I'm going to have to make a distinction between my game setting that is building and the world of the novel that's forming in my head. That's one of the major changes. I've been chewing on how to change Lithids. And I've made some changes, but I'm not sure I'm happy with the results. I don't think it's far enough away, so I'm gonna have to make some more changes. Right? Alright, see you later, Kitty. Kitoy. Nice to see you. Aaron's right. We follow the crack philosophy of reading. The first hit is free. Want more? We'll talk. Yes. Barbarossa says, I recommend an idea for your world that the sails can have the same feel but glow with airs. I thought about that. I might put that in there, actually, because that's kind of fun when they fill with the airs, they glow. I could definitely do that. The only problem is that it makes it very difficult, A, to work on a ship, right? And because there's light in your face all the time. Because you have to, like, handle the sails, right? It's not done by, like, mechanical cranks and stuff like it is in Treasure Planet. It's like, you know, you actually have to reef the sail and, you know. So, I don't know if that would interfere with that. And the other thing is it would make it impossible to hide the ship. Right? Which probably doesn't matter until book 3. So I have time to think about it. Okay. Yes. Esong says, okay, I'm going to leave that discussion because we're getting close to the end. Oh, you know, okay, we're into the chat, so I guess I can say it. Esong says to Barbarossa, when you ready Saltmarsh, did you do anything with the house or the ship? Right? Story Girl says, and she's absolutely right, you can't copyright a story concept, only the realization of the story. Yes. The details of things like characters and unique species and things like that are probably trademarked, but the idea behind a story can never be copyrighted. There's only really, 7 great plots anyway, right? Okay. Bob said Kit, but he's gone, unfortunately, or they are gone. I suggest you get a hold of a download of the 5th edition SRD. If a character is in there, you're fine. If it's not in the SRD, but is in the monster manual, then it's copyrighted and you cannot use it. Barbarossa says to me, you can have leverage sails. They can literally drop sails when stealthed. Yeah, then how do they fly when stealthed? Remember, they need the sails. Right? Sunglasses for glowing sails, says Rowan. Sensible. Book 3, magic that absorbs the light, making the sails black. Ooh. I'll talk it over with Aaron. Okay, that is kind of cool. It would certainly be funky, and there'd be some amazing art, right? With the glowing sails on the ship. That would look freaking awesome. They can use a form of war movement. Nope, I rejected that one. I thought about that, and I'm like, Now, the question is, okay, I get that you've kind of got an idea and you're running with it, but why do I want to change the existing idea that I have? Are you suggesting this because you're thinking that it's too close to how Spelljammer works? Because it isn't. It's very different. I've made some significant changes. Right? So... But I appreciate the helpful idea. Okay, I'm just worried. That's cool. I appreciate it. I don't really understand how sales work in Spelljammer. They don't really make any sense. Right? They never explain exactly how they work. They say, okay, it's a sailing ship, but then the way they describe the maneuvering of a ship would not be consistent with the way you maneuver sails. Right? I've done enough research on how to maneuver a ship now, a sailing ship, that I know that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Right? So I think they intended it to be kind of symbolic. Yeah, they did, they hand waved it, right? So, I mean, and also things like when you're making sail, right, in a combat, like, because, you know, we had the hex board where you did the combat, right? Which I loved. I loved that aspect. I love those kind of things. Excuse me, right? But you take your ship, and then if you were, like, heading out, right, you could just take off and it would just fly. More like an airplane than a sailing ship. If you're gonna, like, make sail with a sailing ship, you have to tack the sails, right, at, I think it's a 35-degree angle, and then you kind of have to back up, right, before you can swing out and head out, right? So it's difficult to describe, but I've watched videos on it, right? Spelljammer ships move more like speedboats is the way I've always seen it. Exactly, right? They're more like aircraft than ships. So I do have things that move like aircraft. This is space, but there are also things that move like ships. And basically, the bigger the ship is, the more like a ship it moves, right? So, and that is important later on, but yeah, so I don't feel that I have to go too crazy. I do like the idea of the glowing sails, and then perhaps a black light, or magically, you know, like black sails specifically, that instead of glowing produce something like, I don't know, some other thing, time distortions, or, you know, X-rays, which would be horrible. Yeah. Barbarossa says, I always admired that the sailing ships in Treasure Planet actually worked like sailing ships in a 3D environment. It was very cool. I agree. They really kind of did a good job of animating that. It really helped me get a clear picture of how that might work. I'm pretty sure my story existed, because I know Spelljammer existed before Treasure Planet did. So, right. They even explained that the Ethereum, the space they inhabit, had both air and frictional resistance. The creators were very talented. It was truly a work of passion. I watched a documentary on that recently about what a work of, like, a labor of love it was, right? And how it basically flopped. Everybody remembers it now as this amazing classic, but it did not do well at the box office, right? And there's a whole reason behind it, which is why we never got that particular style again, right? It was kind of the transition point between 2D animation and 3D animation, and I guess that was just too hard, right? So, yeah, but I love it. You know, that's a major inspiration for the story, obviously, right? Starfield illusion, says Rowan, concealing the ship. Yeah, these are all good ideas. Esong says to Barbarossa, trying again with spell check. When you ran Saltmarsh, did your players do anything with the house or ship? Yes, they did, says Barbarossa. They actually started the Sea Ghost Trading Company, something that has continued in many other campaigns. Cool, they made like a legacy thing. That's fun. Always cool to enjoy. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left, guys. Is there any questions or particular discussions that we want to do for 10 minutes? I don't know. Anybody looking for help with something they've been struggling with on the World Anvil site? I appreciate, thank you, by the way, for asking about my story and giving me an opportunity to discuss it, because I enjoy that, of course. We all do, right? We all want to talk about our worlds. We all want to share. So I appreciate your interest. I hope you guys enjoy the reading. If you didn't get the code, by the way, contact me on Discord afterwards, right? If you are live in the stream right now, not if you're watching the VOD. If you're watching the VOD, pick it up, or, you know, if you're first come, first served, up to 50, right? But if you're live in the chat, message me on Discord and I will make sure you get the code if you didn't get it before. Dazzlecat says, do you have a dedicated main character, but have another major character that takes center stage once in a while? That happens so frequently, I had to cut out a bunch of it and make a novella. Okay, and it depends on which universe you're asking. In the Toy Soldier Saga, yes, I have a dedicated main character, and there were a lot of other major characters, and I think they're still very important, but the book got so big, I had to take a bunch of it out and make it into a novella about them as secondary characters, right? And I really think the novella is good, but it's got a lot of spoilers in it to what happens in books 1, 2, and 3, so don't read it until then. But, and it was published independently in a book bundle at one point, which was limited edition, is no longer available, right? But, yeah, right? There are other characters that people identify with and they really want to see more of. The main character's name is Shandar Sunfall. His best friend, Yathar Goldenbow, is also very popular. Their girlfriends are also very popular, and they're totally different. Narissa Elkshorn is Shandar's girlfriend later on, and she is very much focused on magic and has little to do with the Navy, right? Tyelate Vesper is a badass military chick who ends up being, well, she's military, she's a soldier, right? She's a sailor, right? So very different, and they tend to be pretty popular, right? People tend to want to see more about what happens to them. It's a critique I got in the second book, and I now have to think about what Yathar is doing, because he and Shandar end up separated, and I don't write about what Yathar is doing during that time, because Shandar doesn't know, right? So, but people want to know more about what he was doing, so now I got to think about that, and, do I want to include that as a secondary story? I think I could, right? Or do I want to include it in the book? I don't know. But hey, I got time. The second book is only in its second draft or third draft, so I'm still working it, so it doesn't really matter. Now, Weird West. Graham Walsh was my protagonist, but his sister Piper Walsh tends to end up running the show a lot, and it's enough that I actually made her another protagonist. Like, the Walsh siblings are the protagonists of the Weird West stories. And it's easy to do when you're serializing a story, because you just shift point of view depending on what story you're telling and whose story would be more important. And I even told one story from the point of view of a supporting character, Pete Woodhouse, who would have been, he's the Lancer, right? He's Graham's best friend, and they're very much opposites. So, yeah, and what do you do with them? Well, I give them their own stories if they become vocal enough. Yeah. I don't know if that was of any help. And that they take center stage? Yeah, I let my characters tell me what they're doing, and if their voice needs to be focused on, I focus on it. Narissa is the viewpoint character for most of the novella that I wrote. So, alright. Well, we're right close to the time here. I'm going to check and see if Kahuna is live. He is. What do you guys think? Shall we go over there a couple minutes early, or do you guys have anything else you want to discuss before we conclude the WorldForge for today? All right. Well, cool. I'm going to enjoy catching the actual beginning of Kahuna's stream for a change. That'll be fun. Realm Strider says, I like hearing your words of wisdom. Thanks for letting me chill and listen. And Esong says, Sable has lots of wisdom. I'm glad you guys think so. I don't feel very wise, but if I'm helpful, great. And that's cool. That's why I'm here, right? So thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. I've really kind of enjoyed this stream. It's been very nice and chill, and it's been more about the company than it has about what I'm doing, and I needed that today. That's really great. It's putting me on track for my stuff, says Realm Strider. Then I am doing my job, and thank you for letting me know, because that is why we are here. Very important to me. If I can get everybody who wants to get their creative voice out there in whatever form it is, be it, you know, novel writing, game design, or just raw world building, I want to do that. That's what we're about. That's what this show is for. Kapow. Awesome. And Barbarossa invites Esong to hit her up later, and that's very helpful. Thanks, Barbarossa. Thank you for being such a positive, you know, active, helpful person in the community. You're awesome. You guys are all awesome. You're all very positive, helpful people. I appreciate the fact that you all want to help each other out. It's really great. So cool. All right. And thank you to Juris Pretentious, who followed since I last broadcast. The next time we'll be on is tomorrow night, which is Toy Soldiers Old School, which is the history prior to the novels of the Toy Soldiers saga, featuring many of the major NPCs in the novels who are PCs in the game. That's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. We have a great time with it, and unless they go horribly off chart, what they do is canon. So, you know, like, they haven't gone horribly off yet, so it'll be really cool to see where it goes. And then Tuesdays and Fridays, we have Ask an Old GM. Of course, a lot of you show up for that one, which is why you feel free to talk about gaming stuff here, and that's fine with me. And Aaron does that from 1 to 4 p.m. on Pacific time. Right? Again, Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm back on Wednesday for Diane Writes. I'm hoping that this time I can do, like, some serious writing. So I'm going to encourage you guys to show up with your work to write. And I think that for one episode, I'm not going to do critiques, just because I want to get some word sprints done with you guys. I hope that's okay. All right. And, oh yeah, and I almost forgot, coming up this week, we have our once monthly broadcast. It'll be directly following the Tequila Star Rise broadcast by World Anvil on Thursday. And that's 2 p.m. Pacific time, where we do State of the Multiverse, where Aaron and I will kind of, you know, it's our community update. We'll let you know what we're working on and what's coming up. Most of it's featured in our World Anvil material, and, you know, check it out. Thanks, guys. We're off to raid Kahuna. Remember that the raid shout is prepare to be boarded, and we will see you, at least, I hope, next week on the WorldForge.